From the Digital Center at Hawaii News Now, we're getting a chance to talk about the ukulele. Sean Yakovona is from Ukulele Friend. That's the business or the entity that he owns. Adam Johnson comes from the entity of the Hawaii State Archives. Gentlemen, good morning. Aloha.
Good morning. Aloha.
Sean, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead and tell me, where does this passion for the ukulele come from?
Well, for me, it came from actually a study abroad program, right? And so I was a student at Kapiolani Community College. I now work at Kapiolani Community College in international education as well. And when I was on study abroad, people ask you about Hawaii. They ask you about who you are and what it's like to be in Hawaii. And so it was really a point of reflection for myself, right? A self-exploration. Who am I? As people began to ask that question. And one of the things that really resonated with me that I missed so dearly was the sound of the ukulele. You cannot go anywhere here in Hawaii without seeing and hearing ukulele, right? Whether you're at the grocery store or in the car, or whether you're at a friend's house, ukulele surrounds us here. But it was through this kind of journey for myself of exploration, because I began to realize that physically and audibly we hear the ukulele here. But if you really look into the history of the ukulele, it really is, it's kind of a manifestation of the cultures. It's a manifestation of who we are as a people and a community in Hawaii. And that's why I love this instrument so much.
Okay, so let me see, what school you went to?
Kapiolani Community College.
Okay, and before that, what high school you went to?
I went to Kaimuki High School.
Okay, good. Because
Yes.
that's the usual question, right? what high school you in? So you grew up in what area?
I grew up in Kaimuki.
Were you exposed to what was the first age you were exposed to the ukulele?
Oh my gosh, when I was little, I mean, my best friend, his name is Kaha'anu Lake, and a dear friend of mine, and right across the street, a little lo and behold, was Uncle Umikai, and the Kaha'anu Lake Trio was playing there. I didn't know I was playing Chase Master around the house, not realizing that these amazing musicians and so much culture and so much music was happening right in front of my eyes at that time.
Wow, that's amazing to have those kinds of people and music legends around you. Adam, where did you grow up? You're not from here originally.
No,
You're
I'm
from
not.
Canada?
I actually, Chicago.
Chicago.
I grew up in the
Wow.
Midwest.
Okay. What brought you to Hawaii?
Work.
Work.
I worked on my PhD in Canada, and because I had previously been the deputy state archivist in Washington State, I'd met the state archivist here in Hawaii at the time. And when she found out that I was kind of a freelancer, she invited me to come consult for the archives to help them with their technology. And so I was planning to be here for 3 years. A year into it, I met my now wife and absolutely fell in love with the people. There was just no way I was leaving.
That's usually the way it goes. With the Hawaii State Archives, you have a unique perspective of being able to every day dive into the history of these islands and its people.
Absolutely. And that's one of the joys of working in the public archives. It's our responsibility to be the keepers of public memory. So those things that should never fade from the public's consciousness, whether they're good or bad, they all have lessons to teach us. When we stand on the shoulders of our kupuna, we can reach new heights. And so there's such an incredibly beautiful, rich history here that, that really helped fall in love with the islands and the people, because there's just so much to take joy in and pride in.
Well, I can only imagine that you suddenly you start to dig into something, or you started to see something. It's like looking on the internet. You're looking at this, then it leads you to this, and leads you to this. And next thing you know, 6 hours of your life have gone by.
Oh, we do warn researchers when they come in, you're going to fall down rabbit holes. You're going to come in with one thing you're researching, and 4 hours later, you're going to forget why you came in, just because the holdings are so vast, so extensive. And we like to say we've got a little bit of something for everybody on such a wide myriad array of topics.
Okay, and I want to start off this portion by saying we're going to talk about an ukulele event. It may have gone by already by the time that you've seen this, but we'll nevertheless talk about what you can expect if you were to go to this event, so that way the next time an event like this comes up, it triggers something. Oh, I better go check this out. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. So how does, to the both of you, how does this connection between history and vintage ukulele come up? Because I want to mention here, and I should go back to point out to everybody, notice ukulele all over the studio here. Sean, how old are some of these ukulele? And we're talking vintage. When we're talking vintage, how old?
Yes, these particular instruments, there's a range between around the mid-20s or so up to about the 30s. And
1920s.
yes,
Okay.
my apologies.
Yeah,
Yes, 1920s. Yes, 1920s, and there are a variety of makers as well, and a variety of materials that are being represented here today.
Does this interest you as a historian that you're able to touch history that's 100 years old?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, being an archivist in Hawaii is the best experience because there's this cultural understanding of mana. When somebody interacts with an object, they imbue, their intentionality into it, their life essence. And for me, it was always something I felt whenever you would see something really old in a museum. You could almost feel the energy off of it. And coming here, it's a fabulous experience because implicitly people understand that concept. We don't have to justify, oh, well, you digitized the mehele, so why are we keeping that old book? Because it's so important. And these instruments are the same because they have a soul of their own. And in particular, one of my favorite pieces is a 1930s pineapple that is just beat all the heckin' back. And the fingerboard has all the wares in it. Somebody played that. They loved it. They really cherished that instrument for what it is. And so for me to be able to see this and interact with it, and most importantly, share it with others so that they could help understand their past is just a fabulous experience.
Sharing with others. Let's touch on that for a couple of moments here because in this iteration of the show that you're doing at Orvis Auditorium as of this podcast, it would be coming up this weekend. And hopefully there's more performances like this. You're having professionals that really know the instrument well come in and to really, for lack of a better term, make these ukuleles sing.
Yes. Yes, I think what's unique about this project, unique about this this concert, is that these instruments are not behind glass casings. They will sing, and the people that made or hand created these instruments intended them to be played, right? We are in debt to collectors, we are in debt to researchers, we are in debt to so many people and families, right? The communities that preserve these instruments all of these years and the stories that lie within them, all culminating to this opportunity to share the voice of these instruments with the community through some of Hawaii's top musicians. That's why this experience is so unique and so important. When you hear music, as we all know, you don't only hear words. There's something that moves you. And that is the manao, that is the story, the opuna, right? That is the olelo that is behind those, the lyrics and behind the songs themselves. These instruments become the focal point of that experience through these concerts.
Are you going to be doing more of these concerts?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me branch into that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I can see this as maybe a Bishop Museum thing, but this is new to me as a Hawaii State Archive because usually when you think Hawaii State Archive, you just think photos. At least but this is opening the eyes that it's, of course, much more than that, correct?
Absolutely. And because our holdings are so extensive, again, we have a little bit of something for everybody. A dear friend of ours, Kylan Reese, who's a phenomenal luthier and an amazing historian for Hawaiian music, was in talking about, well, I'm here to research how the ukulele saved Martin guitar during the Depression. And I had the same thought as you. I was relatively new, and I'm like, we're the public archives. I don't think we have much. And boy, did he prove me wrong. We have an immense collection of music-related materials in the archives that we've collected over 125 years. And so for us, this is not a performance concert. This is a historical, educational opportunity that we can kind of sneak in some education, some lecture for 10 minutes, and then toss it over to a musician who's well-known, top-ranked to play.
But still playing one of these vintage instruments.
In a vintage style with the handmade gut strings, playing music from the kingdom period, so that individuals are coming in and starting to experience what it would have sounded like and been like if they had come to a performance 100 years ago. And in the process, we educate them with those little interludes of education.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, So we've gone through the who, what, where, why, and so where does? Okay, you mentioned Martin. Are any of these a Martin?
Yes.
Which one?
The one you
Is that
played.
playable?
That's
Yes.
the one you played.
Is the one I played earlier on Sunrise? If you were watching earlier on Sunrise. Okay, so this is the sound of it. Wow. I'm not that great of a player. I know a few chords. So anyway, that's what a Martin sounds like. And you said that this is part of that back into the Depression days.
Yes.
I'm going to hand that back to you because it's 100 years old and I get nervous.
I think what's unique about this particular instrument too, I mean, this is the most adorned one, a Martin 5K. It has shell on it, it's made of koa, but just imagine how an instrument like this came to be, right? It needed, the wood came from Hawaii, Martin's in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. You have to ship the wood over to the West Coast, then over by boat, over by train, build these instruments. And then it makes its way back to Hawaii or scattered about. And the sound of this instrument is so embraced by the community all across the US as well. One of the things that I love about this, if you notice, Billy, the sound of this is so warm. And this instrument here is a larger instrument. This is a concert-sized instrument. But the strings on this particular instrument are modern strings, right? This is a fluorocarbon string. Now, these are both not Martin instruments, and the bracing might be slightly different within them. They're both koa, but you can see this has a brighter, punchier sound, even though the body itself is larger.
Wow. I've never seen that on an ukulele before.
Neither have we. This is the first one and the only one that we have seen. And this is within the Hawaiian Music Archives holdings as well, in the collection that is there.
And it's the engraving on the neck that really sets this apart. Because it is incredibly detailed, and the level of artistry on this is just amazing.
Wow. Okay. Real quick questions for the both of you as we wind things up here. First of all, if you've got that in your collections at the Hawaii State Archives, what else do you have that maybe I don't know about?
Oh, brother, we don't have enough time to discuss that.
Oh, my gosh.
We've got 14,000 cubic feet of boxes. We have thousands of artifacts. It's just something you need to come down and experience, because there's no one thing I can say, oh, well, we've got this and this and this and this and this. It is extensive.
What are your hours, and anybody can come in and?
Absolutely. We are the public archives. We're here for the people. We're their archives. So anytime between 9 and 4, Monday through Friday, they're welcome to come in. But we are increasingly putting a huge amount of material online at digitalarchives.hawaii.gov. In fact, we just uploaded several hundred recordings from pre-1923 of Hawaiian music.
What?
It's all out of copyright. We're encouraging content
public
creators.
domain.
Absolutely. We want them to use this and, again, make that connection to their history.
Wow. Okay. That's Hawaii State Archives. Ukulele friend, I want to give you a chance to also. What do you do as ukulele friend? Do you go out and look for these kinds of instruments? What is it that you specifically do?
So for me, I'm a small business owner, right? I buy and sell ukuleles, but my passion is to repatriate as many of these as we can to Hawaii. It's so important. There's so few of them. My specialty is 19th century ukuleles, so Hawaiian Kingdom era instruments. I am fortunate to be the caretaker of the largest collection of Hawaiian Kingdom era ukulele in the world. And a part of that is flying all over the place, repatriating these instruments. I pay to have them restored by people that are contracted with museums for restoration. And now we have an opportunity to share the sound of these instruments. I work at Kapiolani Community College. Education is important, and we should look at the connection between these institutions and the ukulele, because they are not apart from each other. They're all interconnected. And so we have a kuleana to be able to share the story of the ukulele as we are as a community, as this instrument has evolved. And what are the contrasts between not only the different makers, but the different time periods, right? And there's so much to learn and so much to explore. My hope is that we will get to a point where we can offer some sort of bachelor's degree at University of Hawaii at Manoa in ukulele. There's
Wow.
only one bachelor's degree in ukulele in the world. It's at the University of Milan. Wonderful people doing amazing things, but we should be telling that story here
As well.
As well, absolutely. And so, working with the community colleges, the K through 12 schools, as well as the university, we have a kuleana to move that forward for our community.
And Sean brings up a really good point, because the state archives involvement in this is the ukulele is the state instrument. And so the awana instrument, the modern instrument. So where do you go to get educated about the state instrument? And we're trying to create a single repository that has the instruments, the music, the photos, the jigs, the parts, the pieces, the strings, everything that goes into making an ukulele, so that researchers know they can come and be able to research from the very beginning up until modern times how the ukulele was created, how it evolved, and how it impacted people's lives all over the world.
Final question here, and I'm leaves to you, Sean. My good friend is Jake. We go walking from time to time. Have you had him play one of these? Have you had him see one of these?
We couldn't ask for a more amazing ambassador of the ukulele. He is such a genuine guy. He has come into my shop. He knows what we are doing. He's highly supportive of education and to share these stories. And he is a part of this story. That's the beautiful thing about this, is that we all have a part in this story. It's not only the musicians, it's the builders, it's the manufacturers, it's how it was portrayed in society, how it was used in marketing ads. There's so much to research and so much to share, but the source of all of that is our community. And those stories, they're directly connected to our kupuna. And the responsibility that we have to educate our keiki couldn't be larger. And so that's why we need to move this forward. But Jake is a huge supporter of what we're doing. And we're so blessed to have him and many others aboard this project with us.
To address that question, we did have Jake in the studio at Alelo talking about this, and we put the 5K that you played in his hands.
Right.
And he is so deeply appreciative of all of this. He was like, I don't know if I can play this. And I'm like, brah, if you're not worthy of playing this, I don't know who is. But that's why he's such a good ambassador, because he understands implicitly how important these instruments are to understanding history.
He understands the weight of what he's holding in his hands. I'm surprised he didn't start crying. That's just Jake. Anyway, real quickly here, if you want more information, both of you, real quickly, Sean, how do they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at ukulelefriend.com or info@ukulelefriend.com is my email address. But yeah.
Okay, Adam?
Archives@hawaii.gov.
Okay, is there an email or is that the best place?
That's the email. And if anybody can't make the concert or they see this after the concert's already done, don't worry. It's going to be recorded. We're live streaming. It'll be on our Facebook. It'll be on our YouTube site. So they'll be able to go back and watch it.
All right, there you go. If you love ukulele, you got to love this kind of information. And we'll put this, once again, this is online for you to go ahead and watch again and go visit and support them. Thank you for watching Sunrise Extra on Hawaii News Now.